Let's journey back in time to the 1800s. Don't have room on the train? Well, grab yourself a handcar. Takes a bit of effort, but it'll get you where you're going. Today's issue of the Morning Oregonian from Portland, Oregonian is dated April 1st, 1879. Kleptomania, Coos Bay News, March 26th. A thorough search is being instituted to detect the burglar, as announced last week, resulting in the development of a long-continued and systematic career of burglary and thievery on the part of one Philip Reichart, the parallel of which is almost without precedent in so small a town as this. Property missed several years since was recovered and identified, including almost every conceivable article: bedclothing, ladies' and gentlemen's underwear, mechanical tools of all kinds and descriptions, including 10 or 15 axes, a number of hand and crosscut saws, hoes, also books, musical instruments, money, jewelry, etc. Mr. John Malarkey, whose house has been robbed several years ago, recovered much of his property. Many parties recovered chairs and other furniture gathered in from every quarter. Charles Johnson recovered his money and jewelry taken out of his house some time since. We recovered jewelry stolen recently. Mr. Webster will probably recover the orchard stolen from him a couple of years since, as the trees are growing on the thief's ranch. In 1879, Reno, Nevada suffered a devastating fire. Other towns offered their support and relief. Too late, from the Eureka leader. "Has a Reno sufferer any chance in this 'ere town?" remarked a bleary-eyed, crimson-nosed, whiskey-soaked individual, pensively addressing a picture on the wall, but really aiming his speech at the barkeep. "The fame Eureka's generosity has gone abroad," he continued. "And when the devouring flame licked up my all, when the fiery tongue lapped up my little savings, the accumulation of 10 years' hard toil, I remembered the voice of common fame and resolved to throw myself on the bosom of the liberal base range. I have walked, and I am here, have been with you 12 short hours. And what is the result? Am I soothed with sweet sympathy? Nary a simp. Have I been relieved? Not to the extent of a sou. I came among you naked. Did you clothe me? Not even a pair of overalls. I was hungry. Did I eat? Not an apple seed. Do I sleep? Yes, in a vacant back lot. Do I drink?" With his eagle glance rested on the white-coated director behind the bar. I repeat, do I drink?" "Not here, young fellow. Any man who can walk from Reno to Eureka in 3 days is a concentrated, double-distilled darn fool for stopping here. Go right along to Chicago and make a match with O'Leary. That's what you want to do. And just commence passing 1 foot afore the other, or all—" What he would have done is hard to tell, for the bummer lit out at a remarkably fast gait until he reached the middle of the street. Hall sarsaparilla, yellow dock, and iodide of potass. The best spring medicine and beautifier of the complexion in use. Cures pimples, boils, blotches, neuralgia, scrofula, gout, rheumatism, and mercurial pains, and all diseases arising from a disordered state of the blood or liver. Alice and Black, mill builders and mill furnishers. We have on hand and are constantly receiving steam engines, flour mill machinery, millstones, portable flour and sawmills, bolting cloth, smutters, separators, leather and rubber belting. Number 10 North Front Street, Portland, Oregon. City news. Chicken thief. Yesterday morning about 8 o'clock, an individual was observed flitting about the cattle yards in the vicinity of the railroad depot, East Portland. And being watched by Mr. Conley, the yardmaster, he noticed him take a coop of chickens from a hiding place and walk off with it. On being accosted, he gave an unsatisfactory account. City Marshal Merrick arrived, and he was taken into custody and placed in jail. He was held in the sum of $250 to await the action of the grand jury, in default of which he was committed to the county jail. The chickens now await identification at Mr. Sorrell's on 4th Street. Police Court. B.P. Collins, drunk and disorderly, fined $10, paid. Charles Bradley, larceny by Bay Lee, case continued until tomorrow. Williams, drunk and disorderly, $5, unpaid. Wong Toy, disorderly by fighting, $10 paid. Ah Wong, same offense, $10 paid. Lawyer J.D. Fay on his muscle. As Mr. Levy, the prosecuting attorney, commenced his opening speech, James D. Fay entered the courtroom, and thinking all the chairs occupied, he asked the bailiff to procure him a seat, as he desired to hear the statement of the case. Just as the bailiff was about to get him one, Mr. Fay perceived a chair near Mr. Levy unoccupied, which he moved among those occupied by other attorneys and sat upon it. As Mr. Levy closed, Mr. Nielsen came in. Going up to Mr. Fay, he said, "That is my chair, and I want it." Mr. Fay said, "I am a lawyer and entitled to a seat here, and do not know of any private property in the chairs. If you want a seat, speak to the bailiff and he will procure you one." Mr. Nielsen said, "Well, this is a very ungentlemanly proceeding." Mr. Fay, raising his forearm with the back of his hand outward, "Please repeat that sentence." Mr. Nielsen says, "I say that is a very ungentlemanly proceeding." Mr. Fay imparted a swift and graceful motion to his arm. The back of his hand impinged with much vim on the full front of Mr. Nielsen's face, and there was a resonant smack. There was a profound sensation in the court. Mr. Nielsen looked astonished. Mr. Fay looked unconcerned, and the court said quietly, "Mr. Bailiff, you will see that nothing of that kind occurs again, and as soon as the matter can be inquired into, full inquiry will be made." The bailiff started for the scene of hostilities, and Nielsen squared off at the impassive attorney. Fay instantly leapt to his feet, and before the bailiff could impose, made some very clever shoulder blows at the prosecuting witness, but which the latter artistically avoided by a hasty retreat over the corns of the front row of the jury's feet. Mr. Fay then reseated himself, and Mr. Nelson, with face flaming, seized his hat and started for the door. Fay stooped over to him and said, "I am ready to meet you at any time, night or day, in any place." Nielsen suddenly changed his tactics and appealed to the prosecuting attorney for protection, alleging that Fay was trying to intimidate him. Then Mr. Fay again whispered to him the compliment in the short syllable Saxon language that he had not stated the fact, and left the courtroom.